guys, today I'm going to teach you how to make costume jewelry. Now Halloween is coming up and that's why I wanted to make this video, because I love Halloween. I really like to DIY my own costumes, come up with ideas, and if you're doing the same, it's great if you can find a finished piece of jewelry that's like perfect for your outfit, but I feel like a lot of times it doesn't happen and there's something that's missing, you can't quite get it right. And it's really not that hard to do a few basic jewelry making techniques. So I'm going to teach you a few basic techniques that you can expand on to use to make your own custom jewelry for your costumes. Let's get started. All right, first I'm going to show you how to make a very simple chain necklace, how to make it the right length you want and to add a pendant. You can pick out whatever chain you want. I'm trying to get all the materials from the craft store, so it's really easy for people to go buy the same materials on their own. Most craft stores have some pre-made chains available if you want. I'm using this long spool of silver chain. You're also going to want some jump rings. I usually get a couple different sizes and a clasp. You'll also want 2 pairs of flat nose jewelry pliers, and I also like to have a pair of wire cutter jewelry pliers to cut your chain to the right length if needed. So first you want to measure out the length of chain that you want. The way I do it is I pull out the chain and drape it around my neck, and I look in the mirror and I just pull it to the length that I want so I can see on myself. I'll sort of hold the other end of the chain in my hands to mark the length that I like, and then I'll cut the chain at that length. Now at this point you could add a pendant. I'm just using this little charm, and to add a bail to it you could bend open a jump ring, bend it open sideways and bend it closed sideways with the charm on it or the pendant, and just slide that onto your chain. If your pendant already has the little bail or loop on the top, then just slide it onto the chain. You won't need to add anything extra. Now you're going to want to secure the ends of the chain. So use a small jump ring, bend it open sideways, and just hook it onto the end of the chain. And attach your clasp, and then close your jump ring sideways again. We always open and close our jump rings sideways to keep their shape. There, that's one end of the chain. And your next jump ring, bend it open sideways. Just slide the end of the chain over it. And I like to add a slightly larger jump ring just so that it's something large for my clasp to hold on to. All right, so now that is super simple. I can attach the clasp and the necklace is finished. Now, I do this because if you have a pendant with a small loop or bail, you want to put it on first. But if you have a very large pendant, like this key, then you could just make the clasp first and then just slide your big pendant on over. Smaller pendants just might not be able to fit over the jump rings at the end. So there's a couple different ways for you to put on your pendant, before or second. All right, the next necklace I want to show you how to do is a ribbon necklace. This could be kind of like a period piece, Bridgerton type costume, or maybe like a goth black necklace. And the main item you need here, besides your ribbon, are these little things called ribbon crimp clamps. And you can easily find them in any craft store of different sizes based on the thickness of your ribbon. First, you want to measure the length of your ribbon by wrapping it around your neck like before, but this time ribbons are usually like a choker, so you're going to want to wrap it tight around the neck and hold it and cut it to length. And then you want to cut it a little bit shorter actually, because the clasp and the jump rings add some length. Mine took up about a little bit less than 1 inch. You might need to estimate and then try again if you got the wrong length. Then all you have to do is fit the ribbon crimp ends over the end of the ribbon and use your pliers to fold it closed. If you want this to be a more long-lasting necklace, you might want to add glue here. I didn't add glue because this is just for a costume piece, so this is just a very simple way to do it. When you've added your ribbon clamp to both ends, then you just have to, just like the chain, take a small jump ring, bend it open sideways, hook it onto the ribbon end, and attach your clasp. Bend the ring closed. And on the other side, open the small jump ring, add the larger jump ring, or you could add a chain extender here to customize the length of the choker, and bend the small jump ring closed. And there you go. I recommend using a largish clasp because these ribbon ends can kind of get in the way of your fingers, but there you go. There you can close it nice and tight. very cute ribbon necklace. And then from here you can customize it and add more things onto the ribbon if you want. And you can also add a pendant at this step using a jump ring. So here's a little pendant charm that I have. I'm using a large jump ring. I'll bend it open sideways. I'll fold it over the ribbon. It's gonna create a little crease in the middle, but it's no big deal. And I add the charm, and then I bend the large jump ring closed. And now there is a charm on my nice ribbon necklace. There's so many cute things you could do with ribbon necklaces. There's all this like lace and crazy stuff in the craft store if you look around and get creative with it. I bet just doing this using the ribbon ends would help you make all kinds of wacky costume pieces. Okay, and lastly, I want to show you how to make a beaded strung necklace. So a pearl necklace is a great example of this, and I'm going to use jewelry wire, stringing wire for this. And I think this is a good idea because look how many different pearl beads are very inexpensive and easy to find at the craft store. I'm just going to use a kind of inexpensive wire because it's a costuming. It's not that strong. You can get other kinds of wire if you're doing a more long-lasting project. And you're also going to want crimp beads. You're going to want a lobster clasp. I'm showing you a few of the prices I found in the stores. And you're going to want a few jump rings. And take a look in the craft store for all kinds of pendants that they might have there. This is something I've done before, actually. I was going for Audrey Hepburn Breakfast at Tiffany's look. This was a few Halloweens ago. And I wish I'd gone more big with this necklace because in the movie they had like a ton of strands of pearls. But this is what I ended up with. And I'm gonna keep it simple for you guys, just one strand of pearls, and then maybe you can add to it on your own. All right, and then to use crimp beads, you could buy a special crimping tool, but I also just used flat nose pliers for the crimp beads, so you could go either way. So here I gathered what I'll just need for this one necklace. I have 2 crimp beads, 2 small jump rings, 1 large jump ring, and a clasp, just like the other necklaces. And then you're gonna pull out the length of wire that you want. Again, you can measure this by hanging it around your neck, but then you're gonna wanna add just a few more inches of add like 6 more inches because you're gonna fold over the ends. All right, so then slide your crimp bead onto one end and then just fold over the end of your wire to make a loop and feed it back through the other end of that crimp bead and pull it until you have not too big but not too small little loop. Then I'm using my flat pliers to just flatten the crimp bead. I find that this does a perfectly fine job of keeping it pretty strong and held together. There is a way that you can add a little extra to this. You could do a wire protector and a crimp cover, but again, this is just for a costume. I'm doing it super simple and it will totally be strong and hold together this way. All you gotta do is string on all of your beads. Here's my little pearl beads. String them on. You could do whatever pattern of beads you want. You could use super large beads, you could use little beads, use pink pearl beads, whatever you want. And I just keep the extra length of wire right there. I don't even cut it. I just fit the beads over it if they're big enough, and they'll hide the wire perfectly fine. I just sort of push them on over that. And then to check the length, I'll periodically lay it down flat and sort of pull it where I think I want the middle to be so that I can see, oh, I'm at the middle yet. Because I might want to add a pendant. The only example pendant I had lying around was this dragon. I don't know why I have it, but it's super cute. And you can just thread on your pendant at this point, especially if it's a solid loop and you can't open and close it and add it later. So I added it at the halfway point, and then I'll just keep stringing beads on. And then when I think I'm pretty much finished, I'll hold the 2 ends and lay it out flat and hold the pendant just to make sure it's where I want it to be. Then I can finish the other end. I put on my crimp bead, and then just like before, I fold over the wire and feed the end back into the crimp bead, and I'll feed it through a few pearl beads as well, a few beads. I just fed the wire through 4 beads and then it got annoying, so I stopped, but you could do more beads if you want. Then I kept pulling the end of the wire and pushed the beads sort of back into place and kept pulling the wire so that the loop got small. And then once the loop is the size that I want, I got out my pliers and flattened the crimp bead nice and tight. Then the extra tail of wire, I cut it off using my little side pliers. It's just a little bit easier to cut it off really, really close.
And then I just push the beads down and it's all in place. It's a little bit loose. I could have made this tighter, but I think it's perfectly good for costume jewelry. So there we go. And now we're all finished stringing on all our pearls and we have our little pendant in the middle. Everything's nice and tight and it's not going to fall off. But we do still need to attach a clasp. To attach a clasp, it's pretty much like the last two necklaces I showed you how to make. You start with your small jump ring, bend it open with your 2 pliers, slip it over the end of the necklace, the little loop that you made, and put on the clasp. Then you can bend it closed. The other side is just the same. Bend open your small jump ring, put it over the loop on the end of the necklace, and put on your larger jump ring, and bend it closed. There you go. Now this necklace is complete. It will close and it's easy to put on. I do have one more thing I want to show you though. So this is called a head pin and it has a little flat end and you can string beads onto it. I'm going to string a few pearls onto this to show you. And the reason I want to show you is because this could help you customize your costumes a little bit more. If your necklace is a little more elaborate and you want to add like a cascade of more beads hanging off of it. Once I have a few beads on, I just take my round nose pliers and I bend the wire over it into a loop, and I take the end of the wire and just wrap it around a few times. Doesn't have to be perfect. Then cut the long end off, and then I'll go back in with my flat pliers and just sort of like push in the remaining end of wire just so that it's not sticking out. Then to attach it to the completed pearl necklace, I'll just take a large jump ring. You just need something big enough to fit in between the beads. Bend it open sideways, hook it in between some beads, and put on your new little strand of beads. There, and you could even do a whole bunch of these or with different beads to really customize your necklace and make it the way you want to do it. All right, there we go. That is all. I have shown you how to do this chain necklace, this ribbon necklace, and this beaded necklace with a few little extras thrown in. And you could even adapt this to be shorter and do them as a bracelet that closes in the same way if you want. Yeah.
All right, guys, I hope that I've helped, that I've given you some advice on how to make costume jewelry. I hope I can help you bring your Halloween costume to life. If you have a specific costume that you want to make and I still haven't really given you the advice you need, you still feel a little lost, send me a question. I can't guarantee I can answer all of them, but I will try. All right, thanks for watching.
Welcome to the epilogue. If you stuck around this far, I want to give a shout out to my friend Vivian, who was in my picture with me for Halloween. And she is actually the artist who made me this adorable picture of my cat, Luna. You can follow her on Instagram. She does other cute pet portraits.